Michigan on Saturday, November 10th, for a noon game at Eastern Michigan. ESPN 3 will carry the game. Coach, would you like to start with an opening comments?
Yeah, we've had to come back from a tough loss to a very good Northern Illinois squad, where they jumped us pretty good in the first half, but we came back and had a chance to tie it up in the late in the third quarter. Had an extra point block for 2 points, and then Cato got knocked out of that game, and our backup quarterback threw a little bit behind the receiver, and it turned for a touchdown, and the game got away from us. But I was proud of the way our guys fought back and in that game, and now you just have to recover from it. Northern Illinois is a good football team. They're undefeated in our conference, and now you got to just come back. I told our players, so if you look at our last 3 years, when we went to the bowl of 15, we were 3-5 sitting at this point. The next year we were 5-3 and lost our quarterback, and then the next year, last year at this time, we were 4-4, and we won our division. So we've got to. It's kind of comes down to what you do from here on out and how you respond and how your attitude is. We've had a great week of practice so far, and that's kind of what our guys are fired up about doing. Got a very good opponent in Eastern Michigan coming up, and they're about in the same boat. I think they've got 10 games on. We've got 8. They've got 10. They're 5-5. We're 4-4, and so these games all become critical to us. And so we are just preparing. We're preparing for a very good football team, Eastern Michigan. And I said this every week. This conference is about winning close ball games, and you got to win close ball games. And you look at Eastern Michigan; they've lost 3 games by 3 points, 2 of them in overtime, and 1 game by 1 point, I believe. And so we're kind of in the same boat. We've been in every ball game till about the end of the third quarter. We've been there and go our way or go the other way, and we've got to make sure we play 4 quarters of football, because this type of schedule, this type of conference, those games, not only is the conference decided in November, games are almost always decided in that last quarter, the very end of the game, because of the type of competition, the equity among the teams. So we're looking forward to it, and I'll open it up for questions.
I know you hate talking injuries, but Cato's status?
You know, he's day to day. He's thank goodness all the MRIs and stuff were negative, and he's moving around better today. We just got to play it by ear and see where he is. So we're not ruling him out, and he's a tough kid, and but he's making much improvement.
It's tough for any backup to come in cold the way, and mind you, with your practices being the way they are, no one knows what you're going to do Saturday, obviously. But how much difference can Remark be with a week full of practice under his belt?
Yeah, I think it helps mentally getting him ready for the opportunity he might have. You know, he went in and threw a touchdown pass on his very first pass, and other than throwing an out route a little bit behind, that was just the one bad throw. At the end of the game, he threw one the very last play of the game, just trying to make something happen at the very end of the game. But he's been a quarterback all his life, and he's getting some reps this week. As we still try to rehabilitate Cato and get him ready to go. He's getting a lot of work, and so you'll do some things with him that you might not do with Cato, but he'll be ready to step in if he's called upon.
What are you telling your running backs when you look at this Eastern Michigan defense and you see them giving up 200+ yards per game on the ground?
Well, they only gave about 60 last week against Central Michigan, but they've had some teams that have run the ball. They played some very good running football too. We need to run the football. That's one of those things we have to say. We've got to do that part and run that football, especially if the quarterback situation as it is. We don't whether it's Cato or Alex. You need to run that football. We did a great job running the football against Central Michigan. We had our best day running the football. Against Northern Illinois, if you look at some of the other teams that played them, they're the strongest rush defense in the conference. And the teams that have beaten them, I know Ohio is a great running team. They ran for about 40 yards. You just got to make your mind up how you're going to attack them, the best way to attack them. But then when you get behind 24-10, it kind of leads you down that alley anyway. But Eastern Michigan, I still think you've got to mix it up. They're a good defense. They're not bottom of the pack. They're right in the middle. And you talk about Army is a team that can rush the football, and Northern Illinois is a team that can really run the football, and some of the teams they played can really run the football. We've got to, again, I don't know about the Ball State game. I don't know if you know what happened. By the time they put their subs in on the last play of the game, of backups on both teams, the guy ran an 80-yard touchdown run, and it just threw their yards from 140 to about 220 in one play. But that being said, that's something we've continued to work on, and we need to show up and run that football against Eastern.
Coach, you look at the quarterback situation. Who comes in at number 3 now? Not that I hope we don't see him, but is that Drew Hodgson?
Drew Hodgson would be number 3 right now. You know, Robbie Kelly, we've tried to hold him out. He had surgery in the off season. He wasn't ready to go, and he's very close to being ready, but he kind of, as it got this late in the season, kind of has talked more about redshirt and getting that 6th year of eligibility, and which he can get now. And so Hodgson then becomes the next guy if it gets down to him. And again, we haven't ruled Cato out yet either, so that'd be the 3rd quarterback. But Robbie, I think we pretty much right now, unless we came, and then we have Nick Johns. You can move back to quarterback too, if that were to happen there.
Could you kind of on the sidelines? Could you feel things turn a little with that blocked extra point?
You know, it's unfortunate, demoralizing. Yeah, I mean, when that happens, it just hits you. And the thing about it is, I could see they have a real good line. They blocked several extra points this year, and they have a great push. And I could see that push coming every time. It's funny, at 25 years as a head coach, I can't ever not stare down an extra point. Just every now and then, I think, I remember the last one I've had, you just know it can happen at any time. And this team was getting such push, and you just knew they were getting closer and closer. And but it did change right there at that point in the game where you were down 24 to 10 in the first half. Your defense only gives up 3 points in the second half and playing very well. And you see momentum. And Cato's hot. He's probably having the best game of the year on Saturday. And so that was one it's one of those you don't like to happen. And you get breakdowns in the kicking game or so. You hate to see that happen. But we've worked to correct it, and I imagine they may get another one or two. But that's that same defensive front that leads the conference in rush defense. And so, but it was one. But it was one that that kind of deflated you a little bit after making that comeback.
How's Cato handling this? Because like you said, this past week was arguably his best game since he's been a starter. I mean, he was feeling it. He was on fire.
Yeah.
So psychologically, how's he dealing with this right now?
He's a tough guy. He's getting ready to play. He's getting treatment. He's getting ready to play. And if he's tough, if he can, he will. So I don't know if there's any time to sit there and think about something like that. That would come later if that were to be the decision later on. But he works through it. He's worked through it. Like I said, he'll get treatment and if he can play, he'll play. So I don't think it has effect right now on him as far as him having to deal with not playing.
Different track. Why South Carolina? And how did that decision come about?
Well, there were just not many opportunities left, one. And then two, I think some of the opportunity to replay a game like the Nebraska game that the players had looked really forward to playing was a big venue and an opportunity to play a Power 5 squad that I know the players were really disappointed when they sit in that locker room for 5 hours and not being able to play Nebraska. Although we did get to play, Northwestern a little bit later. But I think along with the fact that it's a high visibility game, and it was also the choices became less and less there toward the end of getting a 12th game, and I'm sure the guarantee didn't hurt either. Didn't just whether it's what it is that has to be a factor always in the Mid-American Conference.
I would think, I'm not speaking for the players, but those are the kind of games they'd be pretty excited to play.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it's a chance for both of us. I mean, both of us, 1 to 6, get 1 to 12th game. And, both of us may need a 12th game, you know, and so, they were excited to hear the news, and they will be excited to go down to South Carolina and play. Will Muschamp was one of my graduate assistants at Auburn, and back when he first started, I coached against him when he was playing for Georgia for a couple of years, back in the early 90s. Then I hired him as a graduate assistant when he graduated, and, he's done quite well.
There aren't a lot of people you don't have a connection with.
Somewhere they work for somebody in my family over the last 50 or 60 years, that's for sure. And Will is one of them.
Coach, it doesn't make any difference now, but the conference came in and changed the targeting call on one of the northern players. Is that definition of target, I mean, how?
Well, you know, and I saw where somebody else at a big game this on Saturday, because one of the best players on the field got called targeting, and I thought the helmets, they may not have intentionally done it,
That was Ohio State.
but I thought the contact was made. I don't think I watched the Ohio State. I didn't see the Ohio State game. Again, I'm glad the young man doesn't have to be held out. I do know that the officials have made it very clear to us that if it's close, they're going to rule in favor of targeting, because the emphasis is to avoid any possible contact to the upper body close to the head. And so, as long as, and we've had several over the last year or two, and so again, I'm glad for the young man that he's been reinstated, if that's what they feel, that he did not make. I can't remember the play exactly. I remember it happening. I just can't remember it.
It wasn't even a pass. He pitched it back. It was in midfield.
Yeah,
And then he got hit by that guy.
yeah.
They didn't give you any further indication then, because they reviewed it here and they upheld it.
Right. Yeah,
Maybe because he was a runner or something? No?
I don't remember again right now. You've caught me kind of having to read that. Like I said, the circumstances must have been, they felt like they needed to reverse it. But like I said, if we're going to get our confidence back in college football, we have to continue to protect the head, and as in regard to concussions and things like that. And we have done a good job. It's the toughest rule I've ever had, because almost always it's unintentional. And the problem is, it's almost impossible not to have it if you try to go below the waist and hit with your head down. And that's a problem a little bit, because if you were to make contact with the top of your head, and that's a compact injury there, that's much more severe than a concussion. It would be a compression injury for the spine. But the biggest problem is you don't know if the opposite player or the receiver is also going to lower his head at the last minute. And if he's lowering and you're trying to go lower and you both go low and it still hits, it is a foul. So we're all trying to learn how to arm tackle and shoulder tackle and things like that when it comes to the open field, and we are doing a good job on it. But when it is called, it's sometimes it's not avoidable, but it does continue to make the point that we want to remove all contact with the head out of football.
What was the difference with the defense on the second?
You know, you wish you knew how you kind of play. Well, the first half, I know there were 4 drives, and 2 of them there were no third downs, and the other 2 there was only 1 third down. We stayed ahead of them one play. When you play better on first down, then the defense is in much better shape to determine how to play second and third down. We could not get ahead of them in the first half. Every first down led to a second short, and when you're playing like that, you just couldn't get caught back up, and so it was they played very well, and then Brock Boxon, you know, he didn't play that game. He's our best interior lineman. As far as him and Brennan are our 2 main players in there, that was a huge loss. Just for the type of team we were playing. I remember last time he didn't play was Appalachian State, and that wasn't very pretty either, that game 2 or 3 years ago. But I just think that the defense made some adjustments at halftime, and then they were able to do much better on first down. That's what you could, with a team like that, is controlling the football like they were.
I know I asked about this a lot, but now you know you have 4 games, maybe 5, potentially.
We have 3, maybe 4. No,
You have
4.
4,
Oh yeah, maybe 5.
you
Yeah,
have 4,
yeah.
maybe a 5.
Right.
So you're not at that point yet about the freshman and the redshirt thing.
I think we're already addressing that with our people, determining who has 1 game and 2 games and 3 games. So we're already making red shirt decisions with our players right now, because once you got through 4 games, you had to start making some, and some of the players, you bring them in, talk to them, and see what they want to do, and and get through. So we're making a few of those decisions as we go through. As you start seeing, what you see is less of them on special teams, moving off of special teams, and heading into our last games.
And then secondly, this is really getting out there, but could Robbie Kelly play in 4 games and still?
That's a question. We asked that this morning.
I mean,
We got to check with our compliance director. We don't know. We're going to check with that to see if that rule works in his case, as far as a redshirt year would work in his case, to see if that's what would happen. And so that's a good question, because we're asking the same question, waiting for an answer back.
What do you think of the gray field?
The gray field, it's not so bad to play on. It's crazy to watch it on video, and I know you just wonder what I can't remember what they said. It's almost like that the blue collar work ethic. Yeah, factory, the work ethic. It's a great, it's a unique, very, very unique field, and we played on the blue field of Boise, and I can remember some other colors. But what is, for anybody that studies film, if you ever watch, like I say, if you ever watch those old World War II documentaries that were black and white that they've made color, and you'll see it almost like half the movies in black and white and half's in color. Every time you look at that, their video, it looks like you're watching that black and white video with a green stuck here or there, and but I've seen it now for a few years, so it is a unique field.
This may be getting too deep, but what's the protocol for whether or not Caleb plays? Is it sort of pain tolerance thing?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of him feeling that, because you can't, certainly you got to plant your foot and throw, and you got to plant your foot to run, and so he's getting plenty of treatment. So by every day he feels a little better, and he'll make that decision. He'll make that. He's a tough kid, really tough, and if he can play, I think he'll play. If he can't, we're not going to let him. If he can't, we wouldn't let him play. But he's pretty, we'll work on that together. So it's just a pain tolerance. Doesn't have a swelling. He doesn't have an MR. He doesn't have a dangerous injury that's being put to test. Just a matter of coming back.
How do you sort of walk that fine line, though, of the kid wanting to play, the kid wanting to put himself out there, and the training staff having to look and say, we don't know if it's the best idea?
I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's an injury, it's a pain. If it's an injury, there would be no question, they wouldn't let him play, because that would be something that would be dangerous. If it's a pain thing, then they would say, go to tolerance. You can go to tolerance. Whatever you can tolerate, you can go. So there's a difference between that. When they determine, our trainers they don't listen. I don't tell them what to do. If there's an injury, and that injury could be harmful to a player, they're going to tell us whether that player can play or not. If there's a painful soreness that comes from bruises or something like that, and they say this young man's not going to hurt, he's not going to do anything to re-injure it or hurt something more, they will say he can go as long as he can tolerate it. Some people can't play. Kyle Ritz has a sore knee. He got real sore. And what game was the one he 3 or 4 weeks ago? With the Buffalo, and he plays on it every snap, and it hurts every snap. He's a lineman, and sometimes you can do certain things. I think as a quarterback, it'll be pretty obvious. I think what we'll be able to do.